G'day. Season 1 is about to start and the balance patch dropped a couple of days ago, which nerfed Barbarian Hota Quake PvP a ton. Today I'll quickly give you a quick overview on what seems to be the best PvP setup for Barbarians going into Season 1, which is based around Double Swing. Now, you can play this build with Wrath of Berserker or just your regular free shout build. For me personally, I like Wrath of Berserker because of our high Fury consumption, which increases berserking damage, and also the additional unstoppable added to the build. I'll link my skill build, Paragon gear in the description and pin comment. It's not perfect, but should be good enough as a base. Tweak it how you see fit. Here are some pros and cons to Double Swing in comparison to Hota Quake, even though that is no longer around. Pros. Personally, I find it very fun to play. It isn't too one-shotty and requires you to think a bit more when fighting other players. Permanent vulnerable uptime, which is helpful to party members. This was great when I was partying with some strong Hota players. More Fury consumption, which procs more revigorating Furies. With this, I felt like this build is tankier than the Hota build. No need to aim at a specific spot, which allows controller players to perform on a similar level to mouse and keyboard players. You'll be praised for not being a meta chasing cunt or a quaking scum, and it's also still in the game. Cons. The burst is just not there, and is easily kited while unstoppable. Hota Quakers had great burst, which is always a good thing in PvP. Inefficient while playing with high latency. This build requires constant use of lunging and double swing, which is harder to connect when you have high ping. Terrible for PvE mob clearing. Damage is also lower than the top tier PvE builds. Now, I will go over some duels against good players from before the patch. This first match is on NA East against the EU Firewall Sorc player Logen, who made a build that was able to catch good barbarians off guard. He lights up the battlefield with insane burning firewalls, which is almost like an AoE poison. It really shines in group PvP, which was showcased in the community ran tournament ran by Kusan last week. Unfortunately, I'm a bit too tanky and I just run at him. Next, we have two matches against two Bulwark Druids who are notable Druids from the Diablo 4 Discord's PvP channel, Baz and Argurzil. This first match is against Baz on NAE, so my latency was fairly shit. Here I am taken down to an injured state so that his barrier will be able to take full advantage of his injured damage reduction, but unfortunately I broke through it right away, so we had to have another final round. Double Swing is a hard counter to Bulwark Druids because of our application of vulnerable to them while they are in their barriered form. In addition to this, while making this video, I've spoken to Argurzil, who I fought after this one. It seems that because barrier takes full effectiveness of damage reduction stats and also damage taken against them, crit damage with vulnerable may scale higher and possibly not have diminishing returns or a higher cap point like in regular PvP without the constant barriers. This fight with Baz was taken on the 13th of July, so my damage at this time was lower than an endgame double swinger. Very stimulating gameplay. Whack, 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 buff, whack some more, whack, 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 whack. Oftentimes when we get through the barrier, the druid just pops. This fight with Argurzil was one of the quicker ones, but I don't think I need to put another 2-minute fight with druids in this video. Usually when I fight druids, I like to start with Wrath of Berserker, shortly into a rallying cry for a quick offensive burst. I will now go over Barbarian Mirrors. This next match will be against a pretty good Korean player from the same guild I am from, 개빡이다. I think he plays very well, but he says many from Korea are better than he is. We are playing on Australian servers while he is playing from Korea, which nets him 150 MS. What I like a lot about the top Korean players is that they will not keep stationary while Hota quaking. They will be kite quaking instead, which keeps them from taking too much damage while also keeping a lock on the target. Right now I am managing my buff rotations while keeping the pressure high on him to force him into double upping on buffs so I can find an opening to take him down. If I am finding myself pressured, I will jump out for a quick breather, then quickly jump back in to reapply pressure. At this final bout here, he goes for a triple shot to try and finish me off, which he always does. I am coming at him myself with Wrath of Berserker, then rallying cry while pulling back when I have to. After he is left with only Iron Skin left in his skill set, I charge in to attempt my finisher, which succeeds. In the second match, I delay my skill usage about 5 to 6 seconds into the match to take advantage of his damage reduction and unstoppable downtime for a quick round. In this third match, I once again delay my usage of skills while dodging any Hotas I can. I was close to taking him down early, but his unstoppable came back just in time. Here I switched out to my bubble aspect to set my cooldowns while also wasting his buffs. Even though I have my bubble up, while Iron Skin is off cooldown, I rush in to bait out his Iron Skin to prevent him from having his full kit ready. What I like about the ending of this match was the constant double swing while he was kiting that finished him off even with unstoppable up. Next we have a match against Dudu, one of the top Korean barbarians. The Korean streamer Barb said he believes Dudu to be the top 5 in Korea. This was on the Asian servers and he was winning a lot of duels on this dueling layer, which had many good players. With my ping, I was only able to beat him 2 or 3 times out of 10 matches. The instant stun right when his unstoppable ran out was nice, which allowed me to quickly finish him off. This next one is a funny one. A Russian player came into the Discord and bashed my build and also my friend Fruffy because of a duel clip I posted. He suggested to duel one of the top RU Barbarians, a Russian streamer on Aussie servers, to give me a handicap, but he didn't do too well, so we went to EU instead. Both Fruffy and I beat him 3-0 with 350 MS. The Russian streamer was a nice guy. Daevien then accepted he was wrong. These days Daevien is more friendly and he often asks me things in Discord messages. Nice guy. This next match I was just here to watch Logen duel this Barbarian who is said to have never lost. I prefer not to play with ping above 250, but since I was already here, I gave it a shot. I often see him play with Dangzero now. They are both now strong double swingers after the Quake nerf. This server itself was kinda unstable, and as you can see from this clip, it is hard to connect my lunging strike even though at times I am half the max distance range of the skill, which is why I dislike it. Kingpin is another barbarian a part of the crew. Nebula, one of the best barbarians, think he is a very tanky barbarian with decent damage, so I included him. Oh, and he is quaking. These next 2 clips are added just to show my tankiness. The first one is me just tanking Quake from a decently geared Barb. The next one is from Kulvv, who is well geared and prefers to straight up man fight with no Quake, so I decided to just tank his whole kit including his bubble aspect. This was a brawl I had against some Chinese players out in the open field. I first fought one barbarian, but he lost and he invited his assassin friend. They lost again, but then they became friendly. They invited two well-geared Chinese barbarians to watch me fight them. I won most of our bouts against the two latter barbarians. At times, they would jump straight in before the other one died. This clip goes on for a while, but I decided to cut it short for time's sake. This fight starts off against the Korean streamer Barb on Australian servers. He streams pretty much daily and is a nice channel if you want to watch some good Barbarian PvP. He streams mostly in Korean but also understands basic English. There is also the Rhine feature on his live stream if you just want to skip to PvP. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel below, so if you are interested, check him out. I almost died here due to my cockiness. There were better bouts, but I chose this one because it chains nicely into my next fight against Dangzero. He is a best in slot Hota Quake Barbarian from EU, so his ping is terrible here in Australian servers, and I appreciate him for dropping by. I always compare him to a rabid animal. He just attacks whoever is nearby. This was a dueling layer until he jumped at everyone in his aggro range. After that, it became a free-for-all, all-out brawl. Also, as of now, a few days into Season 1, if there is any barbarian you want to pay attention to, it will be Dangzero, as he is very rich and also very rabid. Very rabid and scary. This next one is against GregT, who is from NA and is also a best in slot barbarian. I hoped for a better duel against him, but it was too messy as everyone was killing each other. This continued into an FFA with Daevien, GregT and a few others. The Hota Quake build definitely excels more than the Double Swing build in that type of fight, to which I died to them a lot during that. At this point, I really should have switched to my bubble aspect when I disengaged, as I had around 5 to 6 seconds of downtime. This last barbarian fight is against Nebula from Singapore, who is most likely the best barbarian over here in the Western community due to a combination of his gear, build and playstyle. What he does really well is lunging into shift clicking Hota Quakes with good precision and kite quaking when he needs to. His management of skill cooldowns is also very good. As I am chasing him, he notices that I do not have my unstoppable up, so he turns around with a triple shout to try and nuke me down, or at least force some of my skills to go on cooldown. I am fairly tanky, so I'm not worried about dying without being able to react in time with my iron skin. I dodged his Hotas nicely, then tried to turn it around on him, but he waits until the very end to pop Iron Skin and goes for a reset. These matches from before the balance patch were quite tedious because the uptime of Unstoppables were pretty insane, which lessened the window of opportunity to burst someone down. With the nerf to cooldown reduction, it is a bit more manageable. Unfortunately, right when I use Iron Skin at the end here, he instantly blows it up, preventing the heal to go off. The next set of matches are all against rogues. The first rogue featured is Fruffy, my guild leader who was nice enough to invite me and some of my friends to the guild when we first met on a small dueling layer. He is always looking for duels on the Diablo 4 Discord and allows his dueling partner to play on their own server. A very good rogue. This first match I caught him by surprise by switching to the bubble aspect. The second match is a few hours later with him using an elixir to make things more fair as I was using one earlier. My understanding of rogues is still limited as I do not play the class and am a bit lazy to look into the skill set outside of their notable skills like Twin Blade and Escape Artist. I often just kite when they have their Unstoppables up or if they are dishing out a ton of damage. While I was dazed and knocked down here, I waited until I was low to pop Iron Skin to buy myself more time for skills to come up. When I caught him with a stun, I go on the offensive and pop my Rallying Cry for more resource gain and the Unstoppable in case he pops his CC break into a stun. I also pre-pop my Iron Skin once my previous Unstoppable runs out to prevent any counter stuns from going out. He is using the bubble aspect in this match and unluckily I was caught with an instant stun while inside. This was fine though as I had pre-challenging shout before jumping in and also had some Unstoppables nearing off cooldown. My final set of double swings were able to finish him off quickly as he wasn't fortunate enough to have any dodges during it. This next match is against Anok, who I met during this clip. He is a rapid fire rogue who deals a ton of poison damage. Thankfully, even though he has high poison damage, my tankiness was enough to survive it and keep up the pressure. In my experience, RF rogues feels easier as there isn't as many CCs and escapes. I just need to be wary of my HP. I could have also had a better time if I was double swinging the air for more revigorating fury procs. Great against players who apply high damage dots as you basically have an unlimited pool of resource against them. Here are two quick clips of Anok bursting down a tanked Spectre Sorc and IJest who wasn't aware that he was a rapid fire rogue. Once he was prepared, he performed much better. IJest is another NA rogue who plays his rogue well. Again, if I was using my double swing more efficiently, I wouldn't have had to use as many resources throughout the fight. I didn't mention this earlier, but when a rogue pops conceal and goes invisible, I try to make sure my basic hit reduction aspect is always active by attacking the air for when they re-engage. The match was close, and a well-timed bubble aspect at the end solidified my win here. This here is a quick round against Heng, who is more of a glass cannon. My setup is really strong against his, and in this round, I was about to switch out the bubble aspect but decided to save it for later if it was needed. Having low ping is really nice when keeping on top of the enemy while they are running, with the high attack speed dual wielding lunging strikes. The next match is against Rhine. I'm going to have a highlight clip of Rhine in the top corner from the 3v3 tournament. This tournament was ran 2 weeks ago and had Poison and the Barbarian Quake aspect banned, but Rhine was still able to pull off a flashy play in the grand finals. Rhine is a well-geared rogue from Singapore like Fruffy and Rosoline, who have fight at the end of this video. He is also running a dodge necklace, which came from a side quest, which bumps his dodge up to nearly 50%. Right here, I was trying to have my distance stun aspect stun him for 2 seconds, but was unsuccessful. Messing around like this though buys me time for my cooldowns, so I am happy with the trade. In this match, I placed enough pressure on him throughout the fight that he ran out of pots by the end of it. Finally, I'll show you a few fights after the balance patch dropped. Dangzero switched over to a double swing build after the Hota Quake nerf and was dishing out huge amounts of damage against everyone. His build hurts more than mine, but mine is tankier. The extra unstoppable I have from using Wrath of Berserker is very nice. With nerfs to cooldown reduction affixes, it is more crucial than ever to time your buffs properly, which allows me to beat him even with the god awful ping on EU servers. I did pop an elixir for the fight because Dangzero is scary, but in the end I actually didn't need it for that fight. This next one is against the Korean streamer Barb from earlier, now on NA servers. My build and gear was just more solidified against his, and also my use of unstoppable after his gave me an advantage in a straight up mirror. This match against Dudu also started with me taking the advantage by buffing after he did, and even though he had the bubble aspect, my extra skill with unstoppable gave me the edge to stun lock him to death at the end. I wasn't going to include this match with Daevien even though he is a best in slot Hota Barbarian with a Shako from Asia, but decided to show how Hota fares after the nerf. Even though the nerf removed the Quake aspect, Hota itself was also severely gutted. Most of his fight was just me face tanking him while dishing out more damage to him with double swing, even though my damage output wasn't as good as it could be. Now, as of writing this part, Season 1 has been out for over a week. Daevien and Dangzero are popping off as double swing barbarians with some differences to mine. Daevien is a level 100 barbarian running rupture for attack speed, while I think Dangzero is around level 90-ish, still running triple shout. Even though he is level 90, he was able to beat many top tier players with his best in slot gear, and Daevien is bursting through many others. On the 5th of August, EST time, there will be a second 3v3 community ran tournament by Kusan with a $150 prize pool. Daevien, Dangzero and Rosoline will be competing as a team, and there will be many other top players competing as well. I will place a link below to Kusan's Twitch channel if you would like more info about it. Now, to finish off this video is a duel 7 minutes before the launch of Season 1 against the Singaporean Rosoline. Rosoline is the strongest rogue I've ever faced, and even though there are strong rogues in Asian NA, he sits among the top. In this duel, I am using my shift double swings better, while I am affected by poison to keep myself healthy. At this point, he pops Conceal, but is popped out of it shortly afterwards, which makes him susceptible to being finished off, but turns it around nicely against me. Right here, I am trying to kite for as long as possible for Iron Skin so that I can go into an Iron Skin, Rallying Cry, and back to Iron Skin sequence. Unfortunately, my final Iron Skin is used while I am in mid animation while being knocked down, and takes me a moment to get up and escape into a bubble aspect that saves my life. At this point, he is out of potions like me and decides to man fight to finish it off, netting my one and only win against him ever.